So good morning everyone. Today we would be discussing about few transformation techniques that we use in the laboratories while doing any DNA transformation in different type of cells, whether it is a plant cell, bacterial cell or anything. So the main we will be talking about microinjection, electroporation and ultrasonication. That means the main learning objective of this lecture is you will be getting to have a detailed understanding of various transformation techniques that we can use, out of which working principle of microinjection, electroporation and ultrasonication will be discussed today. So starting with the introductory part, however, we have discussed this transformation process in our previous lecture also, in which I explained what is transformation actually. That is the gene transfer, or you can say the uptake of foreign DNA or any transgene or any gene of interest by different type of recipient cells. So what happens is after uptaking this, the gene gets stably integrated and it start expressing its features onto the host genome. As you can see in this animation also, that this is the donor bacteria. After a bacteria is lysed, the DNA would be fragmented and those DNA fragments would be uptaken by the recipient bacteria. Now, this is a recipient bacteria. Onto its surface, DNA binding protein is there, through which the DNA fragment or foreign DNA will get inside the cell. With the help of REC protein, this single stranded strand would be coated. It would get stably integrated inside the recipient genome and it will start expressing the altogether new feature. So this is transformation process in which we discussed about natural transformation, artificial transformation. However, this animation, it is showing natural transformation because this thing is happening naturally in the environment. Whenever a bacteria lies and its foreign DNA, it automatically gets uptaken by a recipient bacteria, in which REC protein plays the major role. However, I have also discussed the artificial transformation. Artificial, the name suggests that it would be performed artificially inside the laboratories. That means it is an in vitro technique in which we will be first of all preparing the cell, then we will be taking our gene of interest and we will be putting that thing inside the bacteria or any kind of plant cell. So for those artificial transformation procedure, what are the methods? Because naturally, if you talk about this, complete process is happening automatically. We are not giving a signal, we are not inducing it. But in case of artificial transformation, there are different type of methods. So first of all, there are two main methods of gene transfer. So if you want to integrate your gene of interest or if you want to express a particular gene feature into altogether a different organism, then there are two main methods. One is indirect method. This indirect method, it is basically mediated by a bacteria, Agrobacterium tumefaciens. It is a natural genetic engineer that has the capability to cause a crown gall disease, or you can say cancerous disease in the plants. So this technique is very useful if you want to transform a particular gene of interest from one bacteria or from any other source inside the plant. Suppose you want your plant shell become resistant to particular type of disease, or if you want that herbicide resistance gene should be integrated. In that case, we can use this agrobacterium mediated transfer also, in which TI plasmid concept is basically used. But our main focus is what are the other procedures. Direct gene transfer. Direct gene transfer means the gene will be directly transferred into the host by using many techniques. We can use many methods. We can use many chemical or physical methods so as to trigger this process. So if you talk about the different methods, as I told you, there are two main methods, indirect and direct method of gene transfer. In case of indirect, it is agrobacterium mediated gene transfer that happens in the case of plants, because agrobacterium tumefaciens, it is a natural genetic engineer and it contains a TI plasmid which basically contains tDNA. and we can insert our gene of interest inside that tDNA, and then we can transform, or then we can transform the plant protoplast with those recombinant agrobacterium tumefacients. So this is one side. This is one story of this transformation process. Another point is direct transfer. Now that for the direct transfer, we can use range of methods. We can use either physical methods or we can use chemical methods. In case of physical methods, there are many types: electroporation, bialistic method, macroinjection, microinjection, liposome mediated. And if you talk about chemical methods, as the name suggests, that means we will be using some salts, some chemicals. In that case, we can use PEG mediated. This PEG stands for polyethylene glycol. Then is DMSO polychylation. DMSO, again, it is an organic solvent, which is a highly polar solvent. Then is DEAE dextran. We can use the beads of this DEAE dextran so as to trigger the transformation process. Or we can use calcium phosphate co-precipitation. That means we can use certain salts so as to precipitate the DNA onto the surface of bacterial cell so that it can uptake it. These are the chemicals, however, these are the physical methods, but our main interest is between physical methods. That is our main topic of today. That is electroporation, microinjection, and ultrasonication. So starting with the first technique, that is electroporation. Now, as the name suggests, this electroporation word, it is made up of two terms. Here, electro and poration. That means electro stands for electric field, and poration, that means pore formation would be there. That means this is a such kind of method in which we will be using electric field, or we would be applying electric current across the cell, across a cell, so that the temporary or transient pore formation shall be happening inside the membrane of that cell. Once pores are created,
Ma'am, you
it
are
will,
not clearly audible.
yes, Mansi,
You are not clearly audible, ma'am. Your voice is buffering very much.
is that the same case with Vidhi and Khushi also? Yes, I think so. There may be some network problem. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Now you are audible.
Okay. So the point is, whenever we apply an electric current across a cell membrane, and it will result in the temporary pore formation, and because of those temporary pores, the foreign DNA will enter inside the cells, and the uptake of that exogenous or foreign DNA would be happening in the media, or it will get integrated into the genome of the host cell. So you would be getting an altogether transformed cell. So you can say, if suppose this is the cell and you have applied electric current. This is the electric current. As soon as the electric current is applied, herein the pores would be created. And these are temporary pores, or you can say transient pores. All the pores would be created across the membrane like this. And after that, when these pores are created, at that time, your DNA of interest, suppose this is your DNA of interest, it will enter inside the cytoplasm through these pores. And here it is the genome, and it will get integrated here, and it would be stably expressed, and your this resultant cell would be called as transformed cell. That means it is a process which is used to introduce foreign genes inside a host cell, and we are basically employing electric shocks as a mechanism so as to introduce new DNA or foreign DNA or your gene of interest into a host cell by creating new pores in the plasma membrane of the host cell. New DNA will be, or foreign DNA will be entering through these pores, and it would get incorporated into the genome of new cell.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Mansi.
Ma'am, did you mean that we have to create a pore by give the particular cell electric sort, and after that we will introduce gene over there?
No, we will be, first of all, what we would be doing, we would be taking a tube, we would be adding our bacterial or host cell into which we want to integrate our gene of interest. You need to incubate those cells with the foreign DNA or gene of interest. Then you have to apply the electric shock. As soon as you will apply electric shock, pores will be created and DNA will enter inside the cell. That thing is coming in the previous, in the next slide. Wait for a while. This is the animation
Okay.
part, that how it is happening. Suppose this is the exogenous DNA that we want to introduce. This is the bacteria cell, these are the pores, and through these pores the DNA will be entering inside. If you want to conduct this experiment in the real time, in that case, what you have to do, you have to incubate the cells in a buffer solution containing DNA, and you have to subject high voltage electric pulse. Then the pores would be created and DNA will migrate through this high voltage induced pores in the plasma membrane, and it will get integrated into the host genome. However, we are using this technique largely in case of many cereal crops transformation. For example, you can transform rice, you can transform wheat, maize. Basically, we use this technique if you want to, insert a gene of interest so that the particular crop is not eaten away by any kind of, weeds, or you want to provide specific kind of resistance, or you want to increase the yield. So this method is used in that case, because you can directly deliver the method because you can directly deliver the DNA inside the plant cells, or if you have protoplast, even then it is possible. So this is the basic electroporation technique, that before the pulse the cell membrane is having something like this potential, negative and
Then,
positive
ma'am,
charge.
this process is not suitable for animal cells and the
It
cells
is
which has
suitable for
no.
animal cells, it is suitable for other type of cells. I am taking just an example of plant cell, and I have just given you an example that we can use this method for the transformation of plant cells. However, in case of animal cells, the most successful technique is micro injection, that is coming in the next slide. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So, as you can see in this picture, before pulse, the cell membrane is having negative and positive potential over here. Whenever you will apply the electric pulse or electric current, it will create pores. As you can see, these pores are created here, and your DNA is entering inside. In the first case, this is the DNA molecule that is outside the cell. But once this complete charge is disturbed and the pores are created, these DNA will enter inside. And after the pulse, the cell will return to its original state. Why? Because as I told you, these pore formation, it is temporary. These are transient pores. It is not permanent. Once you have applied the electric current, suddenly the pores would be created, DNA will get inside. When the pulse is removed, again the cell will restore its original state. So this is that thing. That means there are two systems of electroporation depending upon what kind of DNA or gene of interest that we are trying to insert. So either we can use low voltage long pulse. That means if you are applying low electric field or low voltage, in that case you have to apply that thing for a longer period of time. That means time span would be enhanced, so that proper pore formation is happening. Suppose you are applying 300 to 400 volt per centimeter for 10 to 50 milliseconds. In that case, high rates of transient transformation would be happening. But if you are using high voltage short pulses, that means the voltage would be increased. Herein you can see 1000 to 1500 volt per centimeter for 10 microsecond. In that case, the time span would be short because we have applied high electric voltage. Immediately, pores would be created and the DNA will be uptaken. That means high rates of stable transformation can be happening. So you can improve the transformation frequency by increasing more voltage, or sometimes if you want to proceed through this method, in that case we first of all have to give a brief heat shock to the protoplast or plant cell, so that those cells shall be briefly prepared. Once you have applied for a microsecond time span the high voltage, immediately the pores shall be created. However, we can also conduct this technique, or we can apply high voltage for a very short time in the presence of chemical, that is polyethylene glycol. Most commonly we use polyethylene glycol mediated transformation also for the protoplast fusion and the transfer. So this is the main mechanism of it, that how it is happening actually. So these are the culture cells. First point, starting point. This is the gene of interest. This is the selectable marker gene. First of all, you need to mix the cells and the DNA to be inserted in a special cuvette. This is the cuvette. The electroporator assembly is separate, into which a separate cuvette is given. In that case, first of all, you need to add these culture cells as well as your gene of interest. Once after that, you need to apply the voltage. As you can see in this picture also, just a moment. Yes. If you enlarge this thing, this is the host cell into which this is the chromosome and nucleus. This is our gene of interest, and we want this gene shall be inserted inside the chromosome. For this, we will be applying voltage. So here we have applied voltage. Once you have applied the voltage, the pores are created. As you can see, the dotted line is shown for the plasma membrane. Through these pores, this DNA would be uptaken and it would get integrated. For the further selection, we can apply the selection strategy of this selectable marker. This selectable marker can be anything. It can be an antibiotic, or it can be some specific amino acid synthesizing gene also. For example, histidine synthesis or tryptophan synthesis. In that case, if the DNA has entered inside, only then the host cell would be able to grow on the minimal media. So we can use this selection strategy. After that, after the electric current is complete, you need to apply the selection. Apply the selection, you will be able to achieve a stable expression. If the no selection is being done, then the transient expression or no expression would be observed. However, there are certain advantages and disadvantages also. In case of advantages, we can use both intact cells and tissues, and the efficiency of transformation will depend upon the plant cell type, plant material. But the major disadvantage is the number of transformed cells obtained, or you can say the transformation percentage, that is less, that is around 40 to 50%. Suppose if we want to have more transformed cells, in that case, we have to choose some another strategy, or we again have to repeat this technique. Now, advantages in sense of versatility. It is effective with nearly all cell and species type. Efficiency, large majority of cells can take up the target DNA or molecule. You can sometime in certain cases you can achieve 80% of transformation of efficiency. Even in the small scale, or you can say in the laboratory, in our laboratory also we can perform this step. In the in vivo conditions, we can also use this technique so as to study the developmental biology. As you can see, this is the image of an in vivo electroporation of a mouse brain, in which the mouse brain in these images are expressing a reporter gene which is showing fluorescence. This complete transformation of gene is happening through electroporation. Now, certain disadvantages, sometimes cell damage is happening. Suppose the pulse is, prolonged. If the pulse application is prolonged, in that case some pores may become too large, or they won't close after the pulse is removed. In that case, cell damage may happen because cell leakage will be there. Sometimes non-specific transport is also happening. That means the transport of material into and out of the cell during the time of transformation is sometimes non-specific, because it is not necessary when the pores are created only the DNA will enter. Maybe there is some other toxin or other ions may also enter that may disturb the ionic strength or ionic balance of the cell. Because of that, the cell may burst out. So these are the few disadvantages of this technique. Then is micro injection. Now, this technique, it is also a very important technique which we use regularly in the laboratories. It was discovered by Dr. Marshall in the early 19th century. As the name suggests, micro injection. That means, first of all, there is some sort of injection that we would be using, and micro means at a very small scale. That means this technique will involve direct injection of DNA or foreign gene of interest into the plant protoplast or cells using fine tipped pipette. That means we would be injecting our gene of interest or DNA of interest inside the plant cell by using a syringe which is having a very fine tip. That means around size of 0.5 to 10 micrometer in diameter. In that case, suppose you want to proceed on to this method, if you want to transform your cells with this method, in that case, first of all, the protoplast are immobilized onto the agarose, or they are held with the micropipette under suction. That means, first of all, you need to prepare the plant protoplast. After it is prepared, you can either immobilize that thing in the agarose or in the gel beads, or you can held together that protoplast with the help of a suction pipette. Then you need to inject the pipette into the cytoplasm or nucleus. However, the frequency of transformation in case of nucleus, it has been found to be around 14% and cytoplasm around 6%. Many successful transformation by the microinjection technique has been happened in case of many different type of plant cells, for example, tobacco, alfalfa, brassica. And this transformation efficiency, again, it ranges from 14 to 60%. And the delivery of DNA, because I am saying you have to hold the protoplast through a pipette, then you inject it. How you can see that injection has been made correctly, whether the DNA is delivered accurately or not. In that case, the complete delivery of the foreign DNA, it is done under a powerful microscope using a glass micropipette tip of 0.5 mm diameter. The cells which is to be micro injected, they are placed in a container. A holding pipette is again used in the field of view of microscope so that we can see the protoplast, so that we can see the cell. Then we inject the micropipette or syringe. The tip of that micropipette is injected through the membrane of the cell to deliver the content of the needle inside the cytoplasm or to the nucleus. Once the contents of the syringe is empty, then the needle can be taken out. So this is the actual procedure, that how it is happening. This is the complete assembly. As you can see, this is the tip that is going inside and it is delivering the DNA. However, this is the complete assembly. This is the holding pipette. This is the cell. So this inside this cell, the micro, with the help of a micro injection, with the help of a syringe, a DNA is delivered. If you want to draw a diagram, in that case, you can see this is a cell, this is the nucleus, this is a holding pipette that is actually holding this protoplast or cell. And this is the micropipette containing the foreign DNA. With the help of very fine tip needle, we deliver the DNA inside the nucleus. These are the advantages. There is no requirement of a marker gene, because as in the case of electroporation, I have discussed that you need to select the transformed cell, that too with the help of a selectable marker. It can be antibiotic resistant gene, it can be some minimal, you can say it can be a gene encoding for amino acid, so that we can go for the selection. But in this case, there is no requirement of marker gene. because the target gene is directly being delivered into a single cell. And we can literally see it that the whether the DNA is delivered or not. So there is very easy identification of the transformed cell upon injection of a dye along with the DNA. However, there is no selection strategy that you need to apply using antibiotic or herbicide resistance marker. We can use this technique for creating transgenic organisms, particularly mammals. As I told you, in case of animal cells, in case of mammal cells, micro injection technique is more useful because we can ensure that the DNA is delivered or not. Disadvantages: the process is slow and the expensive setup is required. And there is one more thing, you require a particular skill set also, because you must be skilled in performing this step, because holding the cell then injecting it inside, so you require a skilled professional also. Next technique is ultrasonication, in this technique, as the name suggests, that means we would be using ultrasonication frequencies known as cellular sonication. And when you will apply these ultrasonic sonicator waves, at that times it may modify the permeability of cell membrane. Again, the concept is same. Whenever you will apply ultrasonication waves, in that case, the cell membrane permeability will change. Because of that, the acoustic cavitation would be happening. Cavitation means the cavities would be created inside the membrane. We are not calling it as pores, because the complete cavity would be creating whenever you will be applying ultrasonication waves. So because of that, the large molecules or the DNA that we are inserting, their delivery would be increased. However, it is more or less similar to electroporation, but the little bit difference is the cavitation part, because in the case of electroporation, there is no cavitation. So the low frequency ultrasound waves has been demonstrated to result in the complete cellular death also. So if you are applying that thing in the case of in for a larger period of time, we can use sonoporator. This is an instrument name that we can use, or sometimes we also call it as ultrasonicator. That means the uptake of foreign DNA by protoplast or cells. It can be facilitated by imposing ultrasound waves. First of all, you need to have a test tube that will be containing the cells of protoplast present in an appropriate buffer of ionic strength, and then a ultrasonic device tip is inserted inside the cell. The assembly is something like this. This is an ultrasonicator device. This is a tip, and this is the test tube. You have to place your cells over here. Then you need to dip this tip inside this solution, and then you need to switch on the ultrasonic device, and ultrasonic pulse is generated by ultrasonicator of 0.42 meter, 0.4 meter per centimeter square. Acoustic intensity is applied for around 20 to 25 minutes. However, this time span, it may vary depending upon the cell type also. Because of the vigorous vibration of the due to the application of these ultrasound waves, sometimes micro bubbles, because of the violent collapse of bubbles is happening. Because of that, the shock wave is generated, due to which inside the cell cavitation or a cavity formation will be happening. Because of that, membrane would be ruptured, and you can easily facilitate the uptake of foreign DNA with the help of this technique. So this was all about all of these techniques: microinjection, electroporation, ultrasonication, how we can use it, what are the different methods, due to which, what are the different things that we have to keep in our mind while we are performing these techniques, while we are carrying out our transformation by using these, by implementing these techniques. So these are the few MCQs pertaining to this lecture, in which how you can introduce the DNA with the help of, you want to expose the cells by to the high electric pulse, how you can inject the DNA solution directly inside the nucleus so as to ensure the 100% efficiency, how you can use the ultrasonication method of gene transfer, what is a microinjection process, how you can transfer the intact end tissue cell types, which technique you can use for transforming animal cells, plant cells, protoplast can be used or not. Do you need any kind of supporting materials or supporting chemicals so as to trigger the process of transformation? So this was all about. These are uploaded onto the LMS. Thank you.